There is a lot of concern about the meat production in the world today, where our meat is coming from, how it's raised, what they're doing to it, and then subsequently what we're actually eating whenever we take it home. Hi, I'm Shelley.
And I'm Rich.
Welcome to Air to Ground Meats.
We have the opportunity to talk to a lot of folks from the farmers market to now our new storefront. And one of the things that we hear the most is concern about the way that meat products are being produced these days that you find in the grocery stores. So what we wanted to talk to you about today is another option. You want different meat, you don't want to go to the grocery store, but maybe you don't have a deep freeze and you can't buy an entire cow.
Well, what we've decided to do is open up a meat shop with our own deep freezes and put some meat in it for you to buy that we've raised local on our farm. And what we really wanted to cover today was something that you might consider doing in your own local area as a consumer.
We understand that our meat store is not like every other meat store or
No.
local market, but we thought that maybe opening the door and showing you what we're doing would give you a great idea of what to expect from a local meat market.
You're not going to see you're not going to see meat packaged in a local meat store that has been raised locally. You're not going to see the same type of packaging and look that you would see at the big box store. It's not going to be, probably it's not even going to be cellophane and, with the cling wrap around it and looking all pretty. What's on the inside is amazing, but it might be just a little bit more simple.
Yeah, for one thing, for us as small producers, we don't have the volume to be able to keep it refrigerated. So when we get our meats back from our USDA inspected processor, they are frozen, deep freeze, and in our store, you'll find them exactly the same way in our deep freezes. And then when we produce chicken, it immediately goes into the deep freezer.
Right. We're able to do our own chicken from start to finish, from on our farm all the way into the freezer, and then you can come get it and take it home. And what that does mean is we do like to keep it turned over, but keeping it frozen is ideal for us because of our inventory.
So come along with us and we'll show you some of the different products that we have here in our store, and it'll give you an idea of the things you might be able to find in your local area and maybe give you an option other than the grocery store or I gotta buy a whole cow.
I would like to point out one other thing. Whenever you buy local, and if you buy a piece of meat from this particular store, what we can tell you is you are supporting 3 local businesses and their employees and families. We buy our feed local, and they get their grains local. We get it processed local, and they have multiple employees at the facility where we have the USDA facility where we have our meat processed. So you are supporting not only our farm, that's great, but we are supporting local people. So the economy within that area is bolstered by our dollars staying within the economy. So another plus for buying local. Let's go look at some meat.
I mentioned chicken. I'm going to open the freezer and let you see what we've got here in our chicken freezer. So you'll see that we have whole birds, and we process these ourselves and put them into shrink bags and put our own label on it. So Air to Ground Farms label on it. We date it and weigh it. We do some cuts as well. So we have wings, and you'll notice what Shelley was talking about. They're not wrapped in cellophane and with styrofoam containers. It's just vacuum sealed. We also do breasts, so you'll have 2 breasts, and then we do leg and thigh quarters. So this is what you should expect. Also, something that you could look for is on the labeling, especially with poultry, it has to have this exemption down here, exempt PL 90-492, and then safe handling instructions. So those are things that you'll want to look for, especially with on-farm processed things like poultry.
In this freezer is our pastured GMO-free lamb. The way that I have it organized in here is we have ground lamb that comes simply packed in what they call a chub or a tube. It's quality meat inside it, very simple packaging. Ground lamb. And then down here, this is all USDA inspected, that we take to a processor and have properly inspected. It's very important whenever we're selling retail to get the USDA stamp on there. That makes us federally legal to be able to sell this meat. We get our lamb chops 1.5 inches thick and 2 per pack, and they are gorgeous and, I might add, quite delicious. We also have down in here some ribs, lamb ribs, again, coming in a vacuum seal bag. So what I did was just use a home idea for displaying what food that we had for sale and keeping it nice and organized for the customer. And they just open the lid and do some shopping. So that's our lamb.
The next freezer is pork. And what you'll find in this one is very similar to the lamb. We have it processed at our local processor. You'll find a USDA sticker on it. And then we have our Air to Ground Farms label put on it as well. So you will see hickory smoked bacon, no nitrates added. And then it is a vacuum sealed pack. And we have all the different cuts. So we've got bratwursts, similar to, say, a Johnsonville brat, pork sausage. We have some of it that comes in the chubs. We have some of it also that is in a vacuum sealed pack. And then we have things like pork tenderloin chops. There's loin chops. We've got some of those, like these are in a 4-pack. Anyway, you'll see that it looks a little bit different than what you're used to seeing in the grocery store, but don't be afraid of what it looks like. I mean, this is some very high quality. This is pure Berkshire forest raised, fed non-GMO feed twice a day, fermented pork chop. Like, it is amazing, amazing meat.
Where's the beef? It's in this freezer right here. So down to the beef freezer. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef from a local farm is going to have a significantly different look to it than your grocery store meat does. So the first thing that you're going to probably wonder is, hey, do you have any steaks? Yes, we do have steaks. This is a ribeye. And this ribeye has beautiful marbling, nice yellow tallow color. That's going to come from your grass-fed beef. It's going to be less white and more yellow there in the fat. This has been USDA processed. I know that because the stamp of approval is on there. And it gives you probably a weight, and we'll get to prices in just a minute. But one of the things that you may be noticing right now is the sheer color of the beef. This dark red color is what you're going to find a lot of times whenever you have grass-fed local meat. This was not raised in another country, put into some box, hauled off somewhere, or raised in a feedlot really quickly and kind of pink. This is going to be nice, red, nutritious beef. You may find your ground beef in a vacuum seal bag similar to this. That's about 1 pound of ground beef. So the packaging, again, is a little bit different, but don't be alarmed by it. It may not be exactly what you're used to from the big box stores, but I can assure you that the flavor and the nutrition and the overall health of the animal and you will be better purchasing it like this and getting away from that box store idea that we have. since it's not an actual grocery store, pricing and the way things are displayed and such might be a little bit different in a local meat store or farm store.
What we decided to do was purchase some chalkboards so that we could change things out as products come and go, and we didn't have to spend a whole lot of money on expensive signage. So we have chalkboards and chalk paint, and that's how we display our prices and products.
Yeah, because we're small, we don't have UPC codes and things like that and beeping and all of that. It's going to be a little old school maybe. You may go get your meat and take it to the counter and they weigh it and then just use a regular cash register and cash you out, like we used to when we went to the grocery store. And here, you don't even have to check yourself out,
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying. So another thing that we talked about is that we have noticed, and is just a fact, that whenever you decide to give up box store meat, you're also going to be giving up the box store price to the meat, because the box stores can sell their meat at such a reduced price because they do it on such mass scale.
So with the industrial production, you get the prices associated with industrial production. So it's something I think to keep in mind as you go shopping around for local meats is you're probably going to pay more just because it actually costs more, because we're not producing things on the scale of millions of pounds per year. We're producing things on the scale of like 2 or 3 cows per year,
Right, or hundreds of chickens, not thousands and thousands or millions.
Millions and millions
right.
of chickens.
Right.
So the way they're able to get the prices as low as they are is using the same practices that are producing the meat that you've decided not to buy.
Right.
So it's just a mentality. I think it's a shift in thinking about things. If you're wanting the quality that you get from something that is homegrown, locally produced, locally raised, you can't have the price associated with something that's industrially raised.
Right. So that's something that we had to kind of come to terms with for 2 reasons. 1, that's what we want to eat, and we had to start buying that. And 2, that's how we have to set our prices. And your local farmer or your local meat store or farm shop or farm to fork, they're having to do the same thing. So as we see the rise in the cost of all of the things that it requires to grow these animals out in order to be able to process them, we're all faced with the reality of how do we price these things. And so everyone is doing the best that they can to make sure that it's affordable, that we can actually get it into your freezer. Another thing that a farm store might have, we have some other local people here. We have some local coffee. We've got a local confection baker that is in our area. And I have a feeling that maybe some of the local farm stores in your area probably carry some of the items, eggs maybe dog treats and knickknacks that people make.
Produce even?
Produce perhaps, absolutely. Hopefully we have produce here soon as people get it grown in their gardens.
Right.
So you're going to find not just your meats, but maybe some other locally created food and foodstuffs there too.
So travel back in time. Go back to your local market. Hand somebody some cash.
Yeah.
Hear a register beep and a scale weigh your product.
Yeah. It's pretty nostalgic, but I think in the world today, maybe going back just a little bit might bring a little bit of health into our families and into our freezers again.
So I hope this discussion of what is possible out there, if you're looking for, I'm tired of buying my meat at the grocery store for whatever your reasons are, and you want something different, you don't have a deep freeze, I can't afford, or I can't house an entire cow, travel back in time a little bit. Go to a local market. Maybe you can find one around a local meat store.
Yeah, no kidding. You probably won't even have to check yourself out. They probably will do it for you and actually use a real register and get you all taken care of. Thank you for joining us here at the Meat Shop. And until next time, bye y'all.
Bye y'all.